Welcome back to ESL One Genting 2017. Are we just a game away from finding out our second grand finalists? Or can Wings make the step back up they need to get back into this series? It's 1-0 to Newbee if you're just joining us. Welcome back to the Arena of Stars and welcome back to the NVIDIA Experts Desk with Capitalist, Malini and Jack. Welcome back to all three of you. We'll head into the draft momentarily. Jack, what are you expecting Game 2? Wings going to mix things up, do you think? Do they have to?
We talked about this just now. Maybe the laning is a little bit less greedy for them, and maybe they're more willing to run that kind of stronger dual lane, even things out a little bit. And you guys were talking about actually Dire Radiant. I just took a look through that, and I think Newbee has played Dire in something like 14 straight matches, dating back basically to the beginning of the patch. And
what do they know that we don't then? What do they know that other teams don't, who seem to be prioritizing Radiant?
Yeah, is it because
better?
Is it because they win the coin toss and they choose first pick, or are they actually choosing Dire, or?
It's got to be a mix of both if it's that many.
Yeah, like if it's that many, I'm kind of blown away by that.
But then they, again, just because of how much they've played on this patch, they might very well have figured out something. And I think they've picked up a lot from the other teams they've played against. Initially in China topped the first tournament after the patch. They played against EG and DC. And it feels like the Queen of Pain might have been something they took from EG, that emphasis on mobility. You just see these little adjustments in their drafts and picks that, they're picking up things from everybody, just exposure to Dota all over.
Yeah, and at the same time, remaining stable amongst that as well, whereas some of the other teams seem to have been experimenting a little bit here and there, Ben, and maybe aren't as consistent with them because maybe, I don't know, maybe they're not so strong on the heroes they have to pick, or maybe it's a different style of playing. I mean, Wings, again, we mentioned the style of playing that first game, and it didn't suit them at all.
Yeah, regardless, I think they kind of look on tilt, at least just from looking at them.
Yeah, and body language says a lot in this game, doesn't it? After the game as well, you sort of saw Newbee, they were quite relaxed, quite chill. You looked over at Wings, like almost
We
desperate.
flipping lost.
Yeah.
That's that look. I know that look.
It was. If Jacob was here, he would know that look.
Everyone knows that look.
Cap knows that look. He's been on a bad run.
I don't know. Everyone who plays Dota knows.
Everyone knows that look. Ben knew that look all the way back on BFB.
Yeah. We lose a lot. Everyone loses a lot. It's okay.
Yeah. So how do they bounce back, Ben? What sort of draft do you expect from Wings?
We talked about it's a more self-sufficient hero for Shadow, or maybe something even just weird for Shadow. Shadow's that kind of guy that's just like, okay, he played Necrophos back when it was weird. He plays safe lane Void when no one really did it. He does all these like strange things. They don't have to give him a cookie cutter hero like the Drow Ranger because I think he prefers it too. Like back when Sven was popular, he never played Sven. He's like, don't give me that hero. That hero's everyone plays that.
Yeah, and they could just go in a totally different direction. Like we saw them go for this kind of all-in push lineup the other day. It could be something like that that just changes like how they have to approach the game, or even how important the initial laning phase is.
Yeah, and Cap, I want to pick up something you said about day one. We were talking about heroes that might get picked into the pool. Necro was mentioned as one of them. When was in it?
Yeah.
And as Ben said,
It's time, dude.
Is it time?
It's time.
Why hasn't it been picked, do you think?
Well, it doesn't give you, if the problem is that Newbee are pressuring your lanes, it doesn't really give you,
what about
you're actually exposed to that. But again, but that would fall back on the let's do strong dual lanes and pressure their safe lane, so they're forced to, they can't actually just aggro tri-lane us, that way we're able to punish. I think that overall strategy is good, but Necrophos is pretty exposed in the laning phase, I would say pretty badly, until he gets like level 5, I would say.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a great home, it seems like, right? Because again, we said yesterday, like as an offlaner, you usually look for some kind of initiation. He doesn't really offer that. If you put him in the mid, he doesn't really control tempo as well as the other mids. You put him in the safe lane, in terms of how he scales and dishes out damage, maybe not the best to give him that many resources. Or if you are expecting to kind of sack that safe lane, maybe you do put him there.
Any other heroes that you're surprised about and we haven't seen yet, Cap?
I thought we'd see some Bloodseekers, some PAs, some like there are plenty of these mid-game cores that like can kind of snowball and do stuff that
which we would have expected to see with this kind of 15-minute marker being the sort of area where they do snowball from.
Yeah, I figured that they would like fit in here or there, but again, like maybe it's just like ultimately when you're thinking about these picks, you have to compare them to what's already there, and maybe it's just like, well, Juggernaut's always going to be better at that. Lifestealer's always going to be better at that. Like these heroes are just stronger mid-game team fighters than these other weirder picks.
Yep. From Newbee's point of view, presumably, Jack, this is safety first for them, isn't it?
Yeah, again, if you look at their pool of picks and their play style, it's been pretty consistent. And even if you ban out some of their comfort heroes, they have other ones that replace them that also dig into Wings hero pool. We talked about the Centaur, that's something that Newbee has picked up. Obviously, with the Queen of Pain, Shadow Demon, Lifestealer, they're just very staple. Even Ursa, and then the OD, who also SCCC has played quite a bit in the past, like all just very comfortable for them. They have a small pool that they run very well, and so it's impossible basically to remove all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the odd side of that really is that in many ways, Wings should be able to predict what they're up against and play accordingly and pick accordingly, but it didn't seem to happen in game 1.
They like to do strange things though. Like they could easily just run the Mirana mid last game.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, let's do it offlane. We want a hero with a lot of armor.
Yeah.
You know what to do, sir. You know what to do.
Good job.
No, not 3-2-2. He did his job.
How appropriate.
They definitely could have picked up, like, they could have run the Mirana mid, and then they could have picked up a better 1v1 hero, right? So when the aggro tri lane comes down, then you at least have a hero that is really going to benefit from that 1v1, but I don't think Mirana is that. Like, as a Mirana off lane, I guess, like, 1v1 is, like, you're happy about that, but there are plenty of other heroes that you could have picked up that would have taken that space and done a lot more with it.
We didn't speak too much about him, but Faith BM we picked out, highlighted as a player that Wings need to have a good game. How did you assess his first game, Jack?
Well, with that offlane pick, I think they're expecting if Newbee is trying to run maybe a defensive try, or they won't be able to really zone the Mirana out with that Lifestealer and whoever else. And so that ensures that he is able to get some resources and farm, but what can the Mirana do in terms of turning things around mid-game when your safe lane gets destroyed like that? I don't think there's that much that Faith BM can do.
Good to see the crowd here in good spirits as they wait very patiently for our second draft. And they have been. Yeah, I have to say this to all of you that have turned up. You have been a fantastic crowd all week, so thank you very much for that. It's been a pleasure being here in Malaysia. And you guys have really looked after us, so thank you very much for that.
The crowd in Southeast Asia is always more friendly.
They do.
They always show up early too. They're pumped.
Yeah. There were people queuing outside at 8 a.m. to get in, which is crazy because we weren't even here at 8 a.m. Usually it's the other way around. We normally do get here first.
So you were saying Terrorblade?
More Terrorblades, more Terrorblades.
Yeah, we haven't seen a huge amount of it, have we? TV, a couple of picks?
Yeah, because it's like
Dude, meta's so
Luna and
slow.
Drone Ranger is going to be
but he's so
going to
powerful.
be banned away that is
He's
like,
so slow.
okay,
He's so powerful.
he is slow. That's the problem. It's like, he is like, when it comes to pacing, right, it goes Drone Ranger, Luna, and then Terrorblade. And I think it's like Terrorblade just needs a little bit too much space, but it's like one of those pushers that.
I also think he's easier to counter. I think Axe is like particularly good versus him.
Yeah.
LC I also think is particularly good versus him too. Both are somewhat popular this patch.
But then there's the other hero that I mentioned, Gyrocopter, right? He's a super fast hero, but not being picked up at all. Or not very much.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think we've had one pick on Gyro.
Yeah,
We have had one game, I remember.
That was their lineup against the Meepo, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe that's a hero that they need. Like, that you don't want to aggro tri-lane into a... Sorry, maybe...
Yeah, we're being
Flex is going
distracted
crazy.
right now. You can't see it on your camera at home, other than some mad dabbers. That's some severe dabbing, sir. Well done. Definitely racked. Sir Action Slacks has somehow just got himself into the audience right now. I don't know if we can get a camera over there. But he is, I don't know what he's doing over there with his hands.
He's giving him the finger.
Oh. Not the rude one, though, thankfully.
I've loved this arena and venue as well. Genting
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
is Yingding in Chinese, which is like atop the clouds, basically. And it's felt like that basically as soon as we came up. Just like the mist and the cloud just surrounded everything. So it's pretty unique.
Slacks, what are you doing?
Mischief managed! Yeah, we know what he's up to. Usually mischief. It's usually good fun as well.
Ben, what heroes have you experienced in pubs that haven't made its translation into competitive?
Well, Monkey King for one.
All right, Ben. Well, let's just go ahead and go through all the heroes that are banned in CM.
Slark has actually been picked a lot.
Yep.
Not so much in
That's
7.01.
We've had a few here.
That's a pub hero in general, though, right? That hero is always
Yeah.
going to be hyper-inflated in pubs.
Clockwork I've seen
Yeah.
more of than I
Yeah.
do now. OD has been picked like all the time too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Slacks.
See, I told you he's managing mischief down there somewhere. Terrorizing the audience.
What an entertainer.
He is. We've got a
What's wrong with
surprise for
Clock?
him a bit later on as well.
What do the Chinese think of Slacks? Jack?
You saw the Manila interview where they did that little Photoshop and made him into the Earth Spirit. I mean, but they like him. He's a very entertaining, and for the same reasons that we like him, more or less.
But they don't understand what he's saying. Do you translate it for them? Or do they just get the gist of it just by his mannerisms?
I haven't had the opportunity to translate much of what he says directly, but you don't need to. I mean, just look at him, and how much fun he's having, the whole time. I mean, yeah, have somebody just have Slack sneak up on something.
You don't need to know what Slack says. All you need to do is look at him. And that was from Jack. That's a direct quote.
Not a shot, Slacks. Not a shot.
Do you know how, like, you see those posts, like the comics and stuff, like the Chinese memes? Is there posts like that in China as well, translating like English memes? Admittedly, ours aren't nearly as cool.
Not really. Well, the thing with Chinese memes is, all right, so they say picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So when it comes to Chinese characters, you have these words that fundamentally take up less space. They're a lot more efficient. They store a lot more. And so when you talk about, for example, stream chat in Chinese, you have these like whole conversations going back and forth across the screen. Much harder to do in English or another language. And so you'll have faces and stuff instead. So that's a big reason for that. And obviously, they've got a lot more people thinking up memes too, for the most part. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that right there, right?
Yeah.
That is a picture.
Just look at him.
Yeah.
That is a picture of a meme right there. So I understand like why the Chinese would be able to get that.
That doesn't need translation at all.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Woo! We finally have our draft, the game number 2. And we're off and running in the draft. Our second game in the semi-final. Newbee, of course, 1-0 up right now, on the verge of making another grand final. Bans underway.
I think there was a stat in the game that it was like first time Drow and an Oracle hasn't picked up. I'm not sure how much Oracle hasn't picked up, but just seemed weak.
Just the one here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Newbee Direside. 17 games in a row.
Damn. These guys are crazy.
Like
We were waxing eloquent about how good Radiant is.
I know. They just threw it in their face.
It shows how garbage our analysis is.
You guys are trash.
Yeah, we really are. This time around, they're going to ban away the Slardar instead of the Sand King, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, it's a Newbee classic and everything, but it has been a hero that's just suffered in this tournament. I guess Newbee's the one team that can make it work.
It's on Dire, too.
Yes.
I still think Dire's... It's easier to control like the Radiant jungle, I think. So generally they have like a little bit more rat presence. I think it's still the same Radiant Dire. Like you can invade that T1 tower quite easily.
But why does that make... Why is...
I think you have like... I don't know. If you can take that tower, you generally have better map control. Maybe you can roach more. I don't know. I'm grasping for straws
It gets early golds for... Slardar struggles to be able to get his Blink Dagger more than most offlaners, right? So
yeah.
If you can do that, you get that early tower. And then that's a...
But he's
that's
so weak, though, in that lane. That
yeah.
I don't know. It's strange. Vengeful Spirit.
That is a curveball.
So
Okay.
there's the Venge Band that they kind of expected. Taking that Centaur immediately, again, this is something that Newbee runs comfortably as well.
Are Wings... Are they picking up the Centaur because they think Batrider, like, Batrider Silencer is going to be a combination that Newbee are going to go for here?
I think Centaur's just good. I think it would work well for them last game. I think it works well versus the way Newbee play.
Yeah.
It works well versus Lifestealer, which we talked about might be a pretty good pick. Even the Juggernaut, I think, is decent against Luna. Yeah.
Puts them off a little bit for these first 2 picks, trying to pick up a combo. Okay, well, they're going to go back for the Drow. What are they pairing with this time?
A lot of options could go back to that OD that we've seen quite a bit. Could still be a DK themselves.
OD Storm.
Oh, that is something that SECC has played.
Yeah, you don't pick it that often in the first phase though.
This makes more sense, right? I was thinking like I automatically thought, oh, Vengeful Spirit, this means Batrider is more valuable. But with Wings, it's the core Vengeful Spirit, right? So the core Vengeful Spirit, the characteristics being that you're a strong early game fighting core that is particularly good at being able to close the distance with some of these heroes. And Drow Ranger, like if they planned on going Drow Ranger, a Vengeful Spirit core would have been very effective for Wings.
So it's a Drow Weaver pickup.
We've seen this as a first pick sequence against virtus.pro as well. And again, speaking of taking things from other teams, like that support Weaver, something that they've definitely taken quite a bit of from virtus.pro, adapted into their own gameplay.
I always like Rubik versus Weaver. I think when you're up against Weaver, you're, especially against a Drow Ranger, you're kind of hard pressed to find supports because you don't want them too squishy because Weaver can solo kill a lot of them, but at the same time, the squishy ones generally provide the ones with disables. So. Which you definitely need if you want to lock down a Weaver.
Yeah, he's got 2 instant cast spells, right? He's got Fade, so you've got the Telekinesis to be able to catch the Weaver before he Shikuchis, and even later on, when he gets Linken's, you can Fade Bolt off the Linken's and still try and catch him with the Telekinesis. The steals are amazing.
It's also a nice setup for Centaur. They don't have the SD, which is one of the most common heroes to set up with for a Centaur stun. I don't think you can go wrong with it, personally.
Wyvern is actually an okay controlling hero versus Weaver as well, because you catch Weaver in the AoE. He's good versus like the Cold Embrace is good versus the single target physical damage focus of the Weaver as well. And then obviously there's a Drone Ranger, right? So there's some value there as well.
I wouldn't mind it. I think the Wyvern's also good.
Yeah.
They can get it second phase though.
Yeah, I think it's more of a 3-4 pick, sure. But it could be a 3-4 pick.
That's half the reserve time.
Yeah, this is
Fans
a
with the
lot of
picking
time
fans.
early on, isn't it?
Interesting for them. They've seen Newbee has added a lot of, for example, Witch Doctor and Queen of Pain to this.
There it is.
Oh, nice call.
Good
And,
call, Jack.
Additionally, for the Weaver, for Newbee, in terms of pressuring, like, this is a hero that we've seen in China recently run in as part of duo offlanes quite a bit, and like people will skill like the bugs now instead of anything else. And when you put that on them and you start to really just carve people up and have that back and forth, like he's a strong laner, he's a deceptively strong laner for the most part in terms of being active in fight, especially if he's paired with a good partner.
It's going to be particularly annoying when Wings, if they try and use the Centaur ultimate to engage, right? And he just throws out the swarm, and you're so focused on like actually closing the distance and everything, you're not going to take the time to kill those bugs that are on you, so they're just naturally going to build up that minus armor. Gap closers, general team fighters. Lifestealer's going to be the first one out.
Yep.
Who else is pretty good? Especially with Centaur. So you don't need a hero that has inherent mobility necessarily.
Let's see like an Ursa or something like that.
Yeah. If they have the proper disables. He's also, like, Ursa's a nice blink hero, right? So he's so good at threatening.
Actually, like Slark a lot versus these two heroes. I think Slark deals with both of them quite well, whereas he's okay at like tanking them as well.
Interesting. Bounty removed.
I feel like the Slark suffers though against the fact that Draw Ranger lineups are usually
Fast.
5-manning as
Yeah.
soon as you Shadow Blade.
Yep.
You're like, aha, I've got my Shadow Blade, and then you can't find any pickoffs because these teams are grouped up.
And we're going to see a Jug second phase ban.
Not for Wings.
You don't
I think
think so?
Drow, Jug, they overlap, and both are like pretty good at
Yeah.
pushing. And Jug's not. It's not ranged, and it's also not one of what SEC plays a lot. He plays more the flashier ones, like the co-op that we see banned.
Yep.
Storm Spirit, Invoker, like these are way more in his.
Storm seems like a quality ban here.
Yes, Storm is
yeah,
pretty.
There's still a Juggernaut in the pool, but because Newbee's gone a bit away from their frequent drafting philosophy of getting KP's hero early on, so
Okay.
you could see something like an Axe.
We're going to go back for the Ogre as well.
I think the problem with Storm is there's just still the fact that it's like
Rubbish.
You could still do Ember Spirit, right? You could still do any of those ensnares that are so powerful versus Storm Spirit. They still have that option on Newbee because we have potentially both the mid and the offlane core still available.
But time-lapse Weaver on a Storm is incredibly good. it's the original. That's when I first saw the Weaver.
Ben loves the Weaver Ag so much. You talk about like any game with him about Weaver Ags, and he'll just respond, "But Weaver Ags."
But Weaver Ag.
But Weaver Ag.
It makes everything better.
But Ben, what happens if I get this big Ravage
Wait,
initiation?
I think I know this one.
But
I
Weaver Axe.
I think I know this one.
Uh-huh.
It's Weaver Axe.
Yeah.
The range is ridiculous.
But
The cooldown is
but
so
Storm is trash. It says so.
Oh! Yes!
Hello.
They did it!
Yeah.
Okay, well, we discussed this just before the draft began. We wondered
Shadow's
why
your
it hadn't
guy.
been picked up. We told you Shadow played it. And guess what? Necro, welcome to the tournament.
Yeah, all you scrubs.
I know he
you're
likes
watching
that.
right now. I know all you scrub pro players who've been knocked out of the tournament already. You're going to watch this Necrophobes. You'll be like, damn, why didn't we pick that?
The Ghost form's really good, unless Weaver gets Diffusal.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, Jack brought out some valid points as to why it hadn't been picked up, though.
Yeah, just I don't know. The lane fit is.
Where do you play it now? Where do Wings play?
Safe lane.
I think it's
Shadow
gotta
always
be
It's,
safe
plays.
lane.
it's going to be Shadow,
It's
isn't
gotta
it?
be safe.
Yeah.
I think
So
safe
what were
lane-
you saying earlier about safe? Why is it not good?
Well,
the
you're
safe
maybe
lane?
okay with giving him up a little bit against like a stronger dual lane because he still kind of does the same thing without as many items. But in terms of scaling later on for damage, certainly not a traditional one-position hero.
Yeah, he's just like a different kind of fit, but he does start snowballing pretty heavily. And I think Centaur's the right kind of hero to work with him, right? He's a tanky frontliner. I was going to say Clockwork, man. It's the one Clockwork game. Because it's
I
so
mean, I'm
good
just
versus
going to
the
delve into
first
your
three.
brain, because about 10 seconds ago you were going to say Clockwork.
Yeah, Clockwork, man. because Clockwork's really annoying for the first two heroes, and then it is quite strong versus Necrophos because he's dependent on the Ghost form. The battery results a lot of magic damage. The only thing, and then it gets even worse because Clockwork's going to get Blade Mail.
Oh, Morphling as well. Wow, this is shaping up, punt.
Who's playing Morph? Maybe it's
the
a
Necro
Link.
support now.
Could be. I don't know.
Maybe it's Necro mid.
Maybe it's Morphin support. Ice Ice would run that.
Oh.
There's your disable versus the Weaver.
Oh.
Or the Drow.
Or the Trout.
Shut someone down for a couple seconds.
I guess, but doesn't he just Shukuchi away?
Blood time. I'm just kidding.
Watch, this is going to happen. In some point in this game, there's going to be a Reaper Sight that goes down,
Oh, they paid the Wisp.
West
and
is
then
good, yeah.
time lapse is
Oh,
going
nicely
to. But
tied
Weaver
it
Axe
together.
though.
But Weaver Ags, Ben.
But Weaver X. Wisp is really good with Necrophos and with Morphling, and it would have been a natural support for them to pick up.
Yeah, they would have had such.
Wisp would have been great, wouldn't it?
But I don't know. I feel like Wings is going to run one of these weird hero support, like Morph or something. Sounds awful.
Yeah, it really
Sounds
does.
different.
So,
Yeah, it's got to be like Necro mid, safe lane Morph. Necro mid, there's been some players experimenting with it in the higher levels. I've seen some like.
I mean, if they play that mid, though, that's a bit of a roll of the dice in this game, isn't it?
It's hard to CS in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean,
He's a harder hero to get.
1-0 up in the series. Okay, let's take some risk. 1-0 down.
It's Wings.
yeah.
Ben
I have no
said
idea
earlier,
what big.
their
Yeah.
playstyle is if they get behind, it doesn't really matter because they're still going to play the same way. I think
Yep.
that,
Yeah.
if
No, you're
that-
true. Yep.
that also applies to series strategy.
5 seconds.
Rubik, Alk.
30 seconds reserve time, of course. But lots of
Madden.
thoughts. Moranis a bit more sensible, but that's an odd.
Is it
That's an
Necrophos
odd.
support?
Who
Yeah.
knows?
What is that now?
I don't even know.
Let's give up on analyzing, guys.
What,
We're
so,
bad at it anyway.
SCCC's hero.
any ideas, Jack, on where those heroes play?
Well, this is part of their draft philosophy, right? There's a lot of versatility
Yeah.
in their core pickups, and so I mean, they could very well just be waiting to see this newbie last pick before they actually
Decide where they're going to play?
their
Yeah.
lanes.
Yeah. What are we looking for, gents?
Puck's okay, but you already have the Clockwork, so
I don't think he scales well enough
Yeah,
for Newbie's liking.
the problem is that like Clockwork is not a scaling offlaner, and you would have a not a scaling mid.
Invoker maybe?
Oh, just maybe an OD or something.
Yeah, OD's generally pretty solid.
OD is super strong versus Necrophos and the idea of Centaur and Morphling as well.
Ooh,
But
again.
instead, the TA is back. And our draft is complete. Newbie versus Wings Gaming.
I wanna see
Game
who's
number
playing
2
who.
is about to get underway. What a very interesting draft indeed. Let's find out what our commentary team made of that.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time now for game number 2 of Newbee and Wings Gaming and Purge. Wings have pulled out something different.
Yeah, they really did. I thought it was a little straightforward by the time the Morphling came out, but the Mirana as well is now. I feel like they have too many cores right now.
Who will be the supports? Who will be the mid? I mean, it's really one clear thing is Witch Doctor is probably a support. Everything else is kind of up in the air. Newbie, though, more standard. They're going to try their hands at the Drow strat. Do you think this is a good kind of draft for them to execute with the Drow?
It's certainly a lot more standard than what Wings is doing. I think it's going to be a battle of can they shut down the Drow Ranger like Newbie was able to shut down their Drow Ranger in the first game. So I think some kind of aggro tri-lane is definitely a possibility here. I think Morphling is potentially a very good tri-lane hero if you can give him a little bit of space, but against Ogre and Weaver it might be tough, so maybe they'll just go standard lane.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the starting items. Faith Bian has got a Iron Talon level 1, so it looks like he has ideas of going straight into the jungle. Will be spotted by Kaka's ward, though, when he's using some of those camps nearby his off lane, so nice little smoke rotation early on from Newbie to get down some of those wards. Nothing else too surprising. We see the Blightstone on Kaka's Weaver. He's going to be getting aggressive, probably contesting the off lane. Ice Ice on the support Mirana with the extra movement speed. Drops a ward in plain sight. That's a
I think they're going to get that one.
ward. Yeah.
So I think the big question is, can they weather the storm against a Drow Ranger that's not going to get contested? Because with Centaur grabbing the Iron Talon, he's not really going to be in lane that much. But he may be there eventually, get level 2, level 3, then rotate some heroes in. There's some potential there, but at the least, Drow's going to get a fast level 6, and he's going to get free farm.
Yep. So we'll see the priority more towards getting Shadow farm down bottom. He's actually got a TP level 1. Is this just maybe to rotate lanes if there's an aggro tri-lane coming his way, or what do you think?
It's a possibility, or even we've seen some teams do some really early lane rotations, like get a couple levels and then instantly go to the off lane and then just tri-lane the off lane against the Drow. I think that's really effective against Drow, especially pre-6. Like if Morphling's 4, for example, he has way more impact in a tri-lane than a Drow Ranger does. If he just shifts top really fast and then maybe puts Centaur bottom at some point, I think that could be an effective style.
Yep. He's actually going to take a selfless approach and not even take the bounty room. But yeah, looking at some of these lanes, it will be the off lane, tri-lane again from Newbee. Not just the Weaver down bottom, the Ogre as well.
And the best part about this is they don't even have to stay very long. Ogre and Weaver can easily rotate out and go somewhere else. So if they can give themselves a really good start here, it would be huge for Clockwork.
On paper, if you're Wings, you really got to try and take advantage of the fact Drow's solo and not let Drow just get farm and XP up here, right?
Yeah, and that's why Faith Beyond's in the lane. He's got to do his best to contest.
We're going to go in immediately. Shadow is already low. He has got the
He could just die right
morph
here.
strength. Can he actually get back up healthy enough? It looks like he is going to go down. The battery assault from KP finds the kill, and, well...
He bought the TP scroll, but I don't think he was expecting the full tri-lane here, at least not the Clockwork as well. And when you morph that heavily, and he had like 380 HP, he was very agi-morphed. It takes forever to turn that into strength of level 1 morph. So, pretty straightforward kill, really.
Yeah, nothing much to it, and Newbee have got complete control of this bottom lane. It feels like Shadow will TP back to the bottom lane, so it seems like even though he sees this aggro lane, he's not thrown off by it. And Faith actually immediately TP'd top, decided like, okay, we've got that first blood, we've set this bottom lane up to succeed by getting a first blood, now I can secure my Drow some additional farm and some better lane equilibrium.
I'm kind of curious to see how the Necro is doing. He's doing really well right now, just constantly right-clicking SC. Heartstopper Aura as well, cutting right through Reflection.
And it's nice you don't have to worry about getting, you can get more points in the Heartstopper Aura if you want, because you get the old Sadist built into the Death Pulse, giving you the HP and mana regen.
And just with one Ghost Route, he can instantly just be able to stop any damage output from TA.
Yep. Nice arrow will land, and that will give
He's
Necrophos...
salving. He could maybe do this, but...
Has he got no points in the Ghost Shroud for the slow just yet, and STC will back himself up a little bit, but he is having a rough time as far as the harass in this lane goes. But another salve on the way.
It's slightly surprising. I mean, there's obviously Drow Aura, but I mean, how are you supposed to deal with the sustain that Necro's providing? Every time he gets the last hit, he's getting 7 to 20 HP. So easier to harass, better range, just a lot of advantages.
So I'll take a look at some of these other lanes. TA not going to be able to get all too much out of the lane. Probably looking for a Sanctuary up if needed, but for now going to go for the salve and return himself back to this middle lane where he's getting beaten on CS pretty badly so far. A lot of room for that to be solved, and for a TA you can always farm the jungle, farm the Ancients better than any other hero as far as the early stages of the game go. And
with that said though, Necro's able to push very easily here. So I feel like he's going to be able to get a lot of advantage out of being in this mid lane, and with the bottle you can pop Ghost Route and get better value from the bottle regen if you really need it. So in some crucial moments, we could easily see Necro just get an easy kill.
Yep. Yeah, and if TA is going on you, you can pop the Ghost Shroud, and with the Ghost form, you're not taking any damage as well, so.
It's a hard situation for TA to be in. I'm sure he thought he'd have a better time than this, and there hasn't even been that much arrow pressure, really.
It's also another thing where if Blink's been playing some Necrophos, I doubt SCC has been playing the TA against Necrophos all too much because of the new changes. It's probably just not a hero you've had any practice really versing, so it's going to be a completely new matchup that he just isn't really acclimatized to.
Weaver's doing pretty well in his lane, though. Picks up level 3 here. Yep. Clockwork with 2 points of battery assault, but getting a kill on the Morphling is almost impossible here. He can easily waveform out, unless he keeps doing that power cog push.
Yeah, just trying to burn his mana for now. Still no magic wand just yet on Shadow, but he will get the lane pushed up enough to get to the shop, so he'll pick up some boots. Oh no, picks up the Ring of Health actually. Had the boots and the stick queued, but went a different direction.
I think it's a good choice. I mean, as long as he has a bit of mana, he doesn't have to worry about the clock too much, so this should cover, make his tangos go longer, allow him to harass the Clockwork more often.
Nice ice. We'll get caught at this bottom rune. Force out a leap in the Sanctuary. We'll keep him alive. Does mean that the Sanctuary is being used, perhaps not at an ideal time, but with the Necrophos rotating in, they're going to kill off the Weaver, and it's a nice little kill. And you can see that mana regen. Necrophos up to full mana after getting the kill.
Who needs Bottle Crow?
Yeah.
He's good.
He got like 300 mana off of that kill thanks to the mana regen that he got from the hero kill.
That's pretty huge. And back to the mid lane to again mess with the TA, who's basically just jungling now. She knows what her fate is.
Yeah, you can jungle, you can kill the ancient camp there. He's been using that sanctuary as well, and nearby bottom lane there will be another bit of aggression from the rotations of Ice Ice's Mirana, as we'll see a kill out onto KP's annoying clockwork down bottom.
That's kind of interesting skill build too from Ice Ice, going for 2 an arrow. Guess he just knows that he doesn't have that much mana. This arrow could be huge.
Slightly misjudges it as Kaka will avoid getting picked off in the bottom lane.
If Morphling keeps being in some of these kills, then the game gets kind of out of control, because Morphling is a lot harder to kill than heroes like Drow Ranger, and he's got great gap close. So just so many good things that Morphling profits from if he has a good laning stage.
And on paper, this is a great Morphling game because you're versing mostly physical damage, something Morphling isn't too worried about because of his high armor, not to mention there isn't really all that much lockdown to really deal with him.
Yeah, it's basically all physical damage and silences, and that really won't work very well. So they've got to get a little bit more successful with the pressure here, but I don't think they really have that opportunity for a bit. The heroes they have that need to kill him would maybe be like TA plus Drow or something, but it's definitely not the best mix. It worked okay the first level or so, but now it's not a good spot to be in.
It seems like they've got different ideas about the offlane now. Newbee no longer truly pressuring it. KP's just down there trying to get some XP by himself. Probably eyeing off getting a fast level 6 so he can make some moves.
They can rotate top. There's a haste pickup for Necro.
Yeah, nice.
TA's not getting any easy things this game. No rune there. Haste rune to his opponent, and he's got phase boots hitting really hard. Definitely has some kill potential.
Just going to walk back into this mid lane, throw out some Death Pulse for just harass and to push this lane as much as possible. SCC needs to be a little bit careful here with this haste rune. Necrophos may be thinking about some aggression. Be surprised to see a solo kill, but again, it's one of those things where this new Necrophos may just catch people by surprise.
It's so easy for him to rotate to other lanes too. Could easily just TP and haste in.
He's in trouble here. The Maledict on him. There's no mana for a waveform though. He will be kept alive and can salve back up, so he has managed to stay in this lane to just about get his level 6. With this creep wave, this is going to be close for him, but not quite there.
And in the meantime, Faith Beyond is level 6, so his jungling's been pretty effective. The levels are the most important thing he can do.
He's being rotated on now. May need a Stampede to get out this one, but with the silence, doesn't look like that's going to be an option. He dodges. Oh no, he does get hit by the Swarm. The very edge of it was just enough, and the Necrophos TP in.
I think he could have ulted that maybe.
With onto the Weaver and then get like another Death Pulse off.
Or another right click. I mean, he's hitting really hard right now. Weaver doesn't have that much HP. And so, in some cases, a bit of a mistake there by Blink. Use Death Pulse slightly away from the Centaur as Centaur retreated. Need to use it like right on top of him. Might have been able to save him. Especially if you use Ghost Route. I actually think he could have kept him alive there. But either way, first rotation, haste is wasted, but at least he can maybe contest Drow's farm a bit.
Prevents them from doing any damage to the tier 1. Often you see a kill like that and suddenly the tier 1's getting chipped away and even brought down, so his presence in this top lane, not all too bad, as he'll push out the lane and then probably, looks like he's going to be returning back mid. Where Kaka's set up, so rotate the TA into the jungle a bit and have one of the supports take over the mid lane, at least for now. As Kaka will go and secure himself the top Arcane Rune, and TA will head into the Ancients, which has been double stacked up for now.
I'm just not seeing a lot of advantages from the hero synergy out of Newbee. It looks so good for the first minute. They've got Draw Aura, but I mean, if Tia has that much trouble mid, yeah, you're going to have things like Bloodlust at some point to enhance your hero, but you're not even at this point. You're already a little bit behind.
You talk about ways to gank the Morphling, and you mentioned the Gust having the silence. It's smoke down bottom from Ogre and Drow.
This is going to be hard either way, though. They don't have a lot of burst damage. It's pretty much all battery salt and Drow right clicks.
They're hoping that with a hookshot that may be enough, as a Radiant Scan tries to protect them from the rotation through the river.
All right, they're going in.
Thinking
All right,
about
it broke.
And they hit the Gust in time. He's not morphing strength, and that may be enough damage with the right clicks from Jarrett. They bring down Morphling before he can start morphing.
That was really well done. On the backline, Kaka does grab a courier, so two big grabs.
Down underneath his tower, looking to get chased down as well, and that's going to be a second kill. Meanwhile, on the backlines, it's going to be Kaka. Unable to chase down Y. The Stampede comes out now. I'm guessing it was on cooldown when they initially went in.
Yeah, I don't even think it would have mattered. He had cogs up.
Yeah.
Stun Morphling. It was a great execution there. And I love the early draw rotation, because almost never do we see this hero actually get kills, but they're going to try to defend it.
Yeah, they're TPing in a lot of heroes here. They'll get the tower, but will they pay for it? They're going to lose the Weaver with a Reaper's Scythe coming into play as well. Aggressive waveform from Shadow, but recognizing that he can't really chase a defensive cog, so he'd easily have blocked the path if it was needed as well.
Okay, so they do lose their safe lane a bit. This is kind of big for Morphling. He's got some items, but that death and now losing his tier 1 tower means those ganks will be even easier in the future.
Even a Radiant Courier going down meant even a bit of extra cash going the way of Newbee, who you kind of talked about the TA not doing a great time in mid, the offlane not working as well as did last time, but this is still a Drow lineup. You don't really start pushing towers until this like 10 to 20 minute stage. Do you feel like Wings are going to be able to defend their objectives, like defend their tier 1s, defend their tier 2s?
I mean, they sort of can. Just very Blink Dagger reliant, I think, for Centaur, because he's one of the big playmakers that will be doing things right now. It's that or Arrows, really, because they don't have the best initiation heroes. So they've got to be a little passive for a bit here, or at least try to react perfectly to the aggression that comes out of Newbee.
So yeah, early 4-star pick up from Blink's Necrophos, looking to be able to deal with the Clockwork initiation.
It's a great choice. Have you played the new Necro yet?
I have not, no.
Okay. I mean, it definitely looks fantastic. It's maxing out Heartstopper second, going for the plus 40 damage skill.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
I would have expected the Veil. The Veil seems to be the go-to for these magic damage mid-heroes. The Stampede coming out, Faith Beyond knows he's in trouble. Will hit the Stomp onto Weaver. The Swarm damage doesn't look like it's going to be enough. As Faith Beyond puts Stampede on cooldown, though.
Yeah, it's like the second time they've used it in both defensive. I'm sure Necro would love to use that to gap close. I think the Force is just pretty needed, though. I mean,
Oh, I agree. I just like the Veil because the armor against all the physical damage would be really nice this game as well.
yeah, it definitely could be solid.
He's queued up a mech as his next item, so that's kind of another item which is useful for your team and gives you some good armor.
Yeah, I think that's the better solution. Survivability is more important than a bit of damage amp. Great
Silence
bait.
the TP, the Clockwork's going to hook in as well. They want to bring down the Centaur. The 4-staff is not going to save him. The Cog's caught out 2 now. That gets Y trapped in as well. Newbee have taken out 2 very fast. Ice Ice will be healed back up a little bit. The Swarm damage helping them chase even further, as I think, yeah, Faith decides otherwise. It must be so nice playing these like 5-position supports where you can just run in, tank tower shots, and
It's the Ogre Magi life.
Newbee overwhelm Wings there.
They're chasing a bit, but very unlikely they'll be able to get a catch. So I kind of liked what they did with the aggressive Centaur TP, but I mean, with that, he's again dying, and that's definitely gold coming out of his Blink Dagger purchase. So, and the arrow hit somebody that had refraction on, so didn't even do that much damage.
I mean, do you think that Wings are over-prioritizing trying to defend these objectives? Should they just be trying to get their Morphling a bit more farm? Because they're trying to fight with him right now.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that usually what happens is you lose your tower and then you're like, hey, we should have defended that. And then the next tower, you're like, hey, well, let's defend this one. But really, you should have defended the first tower.
Yep.
So that's very crucial because now it's a 2-tower advantage. That's extra gold going towards Newbee's side. They've got to start getting some kills.
The big thing for Newbee when they push those houses, they had such great vision. In fact, the wards over on that Radiant side scouted out this smoke. KP will break the smoke, then immediately Cogs. He knew exactly what was coming his way thanks to an Observer Orb which just expired over by the Radiant Ancients. And well, the Moonlight Shadow will be popped, but that's not going to amount to all too much.
On the bright side, Centaur is very close to his Blink Dagger. He may get caught, though. He's got to be careful about a hook shot.
I guess not much follow-up other than the Ogre who's there, but KP with the Blade Mail has a lot of aggressive potential here.
They could have gotten that kill, I think, but there would have been the response TPs.
For a wise position, the Radiant Wings Witch Doctor is enemy jungling.
I've seen him jungling many times this game, actually. I mean, they don't feel very comfortable setting up ganks. They don't really have the heroes for it in some ways. Like, Witch Doctor has 6 now at least, and that's one reason he's been jungling, because they need somebody that can get somebody below half HP, that way the Necro can actually get a kill. They don't have that burst damage just yet, at least until the blink on the Centaur or the Witch Doctor ult. So I think we're going to look for a kill here.
There's the blink coming up in just a second. Faith Beyond still a little bit short, even with that jungle cam.
All they need is a stun on a Weaver before he goes invis, and they got this.
Well, they've got to hit without a blink dagger on Faith Beyond. That is easier said than done.
He could just ulti this as he approaches. They'll have to ulti with Necro. This is the only way this works.
He wants the kill. Now the Stampede being used. Kaka may have to time-lapse out of this one. Looks like he'll be okay with the Shikuchi. Reaper not able to get him, and Kaka's out of there. Elsewhere, it's SCC. Finding the Mirana and the Tier 1 tower. Disaster for Wings here in game number 2.
Yeah, they're just being completely outmaneuvered. I mean, all their gank attempts are good in theory, but very difficult to execute. Without a dust there, that made it so hard.
That was the let's try and out-mind game them by baiting our Centaur on a creep wave. Like they were ready for the Weaver, but just even with the right idea, they couldn't execute it.
There's an invis TA here. We'll see if he's able to snipe the courier. They will deliver the blink at least.
Wants to go for the kill, perhaps, knowing that Faith Bian was a little bit low.
It's almost fully
Oh,
healed.
there's sentries here. He's going to walk into one.
Oh, this could be huge.
They know he's here now.
They're out of detection. They use both pairs to try to kill the Weaver. It's too bad for them, really.
They're hoping SCC walks back in. They'll scan him, but as you kind of mentioned, sentry's not there. The dust is on ice, but without the arrow landing, he's not going to be able to find the kill.
Very tough position for them to be in. And Mirana still only has 2 points in Starstorm as well, so... Oh! I don't know if they know, though. They know now?
There's the dust. Kaka can time-lapse it off if he wants to, but he's going to... Oh! Didn't go for it. Went for the outrun play, and they'll get the kill. They really need a tier 1 tower, I feel, to follow this one up, but they haven't actually got Shadow there, so Newbee could theoretically look to defend this one, but they're going for Roche instead.
I mean, it's okay. At least the Reaper's Tithe will give a added respawn time there to the Weaver, but it's not exactly the most important member of their team.
Faith is down bottom now. The TP is going to come in. The arrow scouts the TP, but doesn't actually land. And now they're going to hookshot in. They catch the Witch Doctor to start things off. The Cogs and the Blade Mail from KP helping control this fight. As Necrophos can't retreat, the Cogs are blocking him. The Cast catches out 3. He's going to run in. He's slowing them down with the Ghost Form, and the damage just isn't there from Wings. They're going to start getting brought down by the TA, who's still going to nage. SCC doesn't care how low he is. He's got the refraction as well. And Wings just trying to get out of here, but SCC finds 2. Barely escaping is Blink. Not escaping is Y on the Witch Doctor, as KP will help keep him in place, and U9 will finish off the kill.
It looked pretty good there for Wings, but not quite good enough. And I'm looking at Blink here. He had 3,000 gold as he gets back to the base. Imagine if he had a mech in that fight. Everything could change. But he hadn't been back to base yet. He didn't have to. He keeps getting kills. Fills up his mana, and no time for the courier to fly out. Very close fight there, but it ended up being completely one-sided in Newbee's favor.
Yeah, not a single kill, not even breaking the age of SCC means that Newbee can keep playing on the aggressive. They can look to take some of these tier 2 towers, and the physical damage between the Drow and the TA is easily enough to be able to easily bring some of those down.
The mech could make a big difference, though. Extra armor for their allies.
They're looking to make a play here. They blink in, they go on an illusion, and SCC punishes immediately with the silence on Centaur. They bring him down. Stampede wasn't available and wasn't going to be able to get used as well. Y is going to be the second casualty of war as SCC finds an easy pick, and Wings thought they had an opening there to go aggressive with a smoke, catch Newbee by surprise, but the illusion
just
Floyd
completely outplayed there with the illusion. But sometimes you don't have time to think. You just go for what you can see, and it's a little surprising they didn't. I guess they have wards down. They may have seen the illusion get grabbed, so possibly just a small issue by Faith Beyond there. Ended up being a big issue. They have to get good initiations.
They still haven't even got any items on Shadow's Morphling. They're kind of forced to try and fight with him. Mirana brought down with a quick meld. 1-2 punch as SCC now in a position to take this tier 2 tower. I think if you're Shadow, you can't defend this. Go off and farm somewhere. This Morphling has next to nothing in the way of items. He gets silence up. He is morphing.
It's dying so fast.
The damage is not quite enough. He gets to the high ground. The Stamping used to cover their retreat, but again, it's Newbee just overrunning Wings. They just seem like they're unable to kill anyone in these fights.
Yeah, they're just doing not enough damage in response. The Morphling still doesn't have an item picked up. I mean, we're 18 minutes in. He should have a Linken's if it's a standard Morphling game. Hasn't been standard, but again, they're going to try to take a fight. No Stampede here. They've got to get somebody low, get the Necro ulti off, keep him alive barely, and keep casting Death Pulse.
This is such a desperate play from Wings. They're smoked up. They go with the Blink Crush. It's onto the TA, though, who does have the HP.
Oh,
the arrow will land, and that's one kill. Is there a second kill opportunity? They're going to invis up. It looks like they do want to go in. They don't get the TA before the blink, and Newbee, they reset, they reposition. The Cast bouncing between 2 here. The blink in from Ice with a Starstorm, but he's immediately going to pay for this with his life. The hookshot catches the Centaur. The Reaper side brings down the Drow Ranger. That'll negate a lot of the damage here. SCC in the front lines takes out Centaur, looking for a second, but he's got problems. He's getting down to half HP, turns around, trying to fight Shadow, but he's not going to win this battle as he's forced to retreat, and Newbee are being pushed back. They've killed 3 along the way, though, and just Morphling on full strength can't really find too many more kills. It's the power of the Necrophos who's repelling Newbee there, and even though they seem to have an okay fight and defend their T2 tower, they don't really gain all too much.
I still think it was a great engagement, though. You really saw the difference. Once Drow was dead, it didn't become this one-sided engagement with TA just blowing everyone up.
Yeah.
And that's going to finally give Morphling a bit of time to finish an item. I don't know if Linken's is really the item he needs, considering that it's going to stop, what, Ignite, Fire Blast.
Would you say there's like, it doesn't feel like there's an item he needs. It feels like there's several items he needs.
That's kind of true, yeah. But maybe there's a better pickup here. I'm not sure if Linken's was the item, but he's committed now, and hey, it's a pretty good stat item. But I did see a lot of value there in Blink's play from the Necro. He got a lot out of that fight. I kind of feel like he should have maxed Ghost Shroud second this game, though.
Over the Heartstopper.
Against a TA and a Drow and a Weaver. Get your duration up, the extra movement speed slow. I mean, it's huge AoE movement speed slow, over 36%. Yep. And these guys all have low HP anyway, so Heartstopper's maybe not even the best damage skill.
Okay.
He does damage. A lot of damage.
He's going for more as well. He blinks in aggressively. He's juked the hoof stomp, and SCC, with DD and Haste, will get caught by a cast now. That'll finally slow him in his tracks. As well as the Drow and the Ogre. It looks like he just, Drow just wants the tier 2. Picks up some extra cash. Revealing the Silver Edge as well as Newbee will back off. Now they can focus down these shrines. With all the tier 2 towers down, it's probably going to turn into a similar game plan to last game. Take out these shrines, get map control, and wait for that next Roshan or for a key pick-off. And they found the key pick-off. They found the Necrophos. Stampede and a 4-staff as well as a Moonlight Shadow. Everything to save Blink if possible. He's been caught by the dust and the TA trap. They're still chasing, and they may actually have him here. He needs help. Morphling comes in. He's going to waveform on through, and it looks like they're going to lose the Weaver in the process here, and they've actually kept him alive for now. The Sanctuary coming into play. It's enough with Wheat fighting around the Sanctuary. They've taken out 3.
That was the best shrine usage I've seen in a long time, and they might still get Ogre, but what a fight there. And that is the power of Necro. Get your opponents to focus on you, and then you just pump out the heals and you don't die. I mean, he's got a free Ghost Scepter after all. A Newbee cannot kill this guy if he gets his second skill off.
That was insane how much of a turnaround that was with the Shrine, and that is exactly what Wings need to get back into this game. They've caught another one here. Can they get this kill? U9 gets himself to the low ground as the TP to that Shrine will be cancelled.
And now they're on the other hand, he's got Eggs picked up on Necro. Now, it doesn't increase your damage anymore, it just lowers the cooldown of the skill, so...
Yep. And
that's
doesn't
the scary
prevent
thing.
the buybacks as well.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the big issue. As long as they get below half HP, you gotta kill. So Newbee has to be very careful in some of these small moments. It's pretty scary, really. They can't kill the Necro easy. They can't really necessarily keep all of their heroes above 50%. I feel like Necro's gonna get ult off every fight here and get a kill.
Yep. And once he gets that one kill, then all that regen starts kicking in. See how Newbee look to deal with it. Maybe it's the Weaver Axe.
The Weaver Axe. That would actually work quite well. Put him back to full, pretty much guaranteed.
Interesting, Weaver has opted not to use any of his talents. I guess deciding the level 10, better to level up his skills. Level 10 talents is what, 30 Shikuchi damage, 6 string?
Yeah, the 6 strength, what 120 HP. It's good, but I've actually seen this a bit more over the last couple days. First day or so, almost everybody getting at talent at 10, but Underlords, a couple other heroes, and I think Weaver support is a good example of a hero that can skip it.
On that Gemini attack, the way it scales is maxing it out. It gets down to, goes from 5 seconds to 3 seconds suddenly, so it is a pretty value spell to max out. And then we'll take a look at...
He's very close to Ags, by the way, only about 900 gold away, so...
I mean, Newbee after that fight must be thinking like, okay, let's slow down. Let's wait for a few of these key items and wait, probably more importantly, for Roshan as well.
Yeah. The skill and item usage there by Blink in that engagement as well was amazing. That he didn't use Force Staff right away. The Clockwork was saving the cogs, but eventually he gets out of it with Stampede. Held onto that Force the whole time because he knew if he forces and they gap close after that, he's 100% dead. It's huge that he was able to get all the way to the Shrine in that fight. Really made a big difference. And now Morphling picking up a Ghost Scepter. Doesn't matter if he gets silenced anymore. He can stop the physical damage output.
Okay, suddenly Wings, their draft seems to be coming a lot better together here in the mid game. We'll see what their next moves are going to be. They did have to do so through quite a bit of smoke usage, but they've still got another to play around with as they smoke up with the Morphling Replicate, so he can be farming and pushing out this bottom lane and still join up with his team. But looking to make a jump on this mid lane. Centaur leading the way, the Blink Hoof Stomp available, goes in on Kaka, and they're going to immediately catch him. The Reaper's Scythe not off. The Shikuchi, he's going to time-lapse back, but right into the middle of Wings. They get the first Reaper off. It's onto the Clockwork. He's down, and SCC forced the BKB on the front lines here. He's doing decent damage, but the right clicks from the Morphling could be his undoing here. SCC getting very low. He's down, and Newbee have lost 3 all of a sudden. SCC being dealt with perfectly by the Wings lineup. They're going to keep United alive with a great force to the low ground. And the Glimmer Cape of the Ogre gets him back to safety.
It was a great start of the fight for Newbee there with the Glimmer on the Weaver, but even still, the follow-up, they were able to kill, Clockwork with the ultimate. We saw almost no impact from KP in that fight. And he's got great items. He's been having a solid game, but if you're taking that much magic damage from just a couple of random spells flying out, it's a bad sign.
My first thought was like, oh, why is he not Reapering the Weaver? But it worked out even better because like, Weaver was glimmered for one thing, as you mentioned, and for another, he got a better kill on the Clockwork.
Clockwork is still dead, and he was one of the first heroes to die in that fight. Midas Blade Mail on him. Great items, but didn't have an impact in that fight.
That gets Morphling up to almost his Ethereal Blade. He's sitting on 3,000 gold, level 17.
You know what's so cool about the draft as well from Wings' side is that they have all these magic nukes, they've got the huge threat of the Necro ulti, and it forces Newbee to instantly get BKBs because they can't deal with having to worry about getting ultied below half HP. So now TA buys BKB, and then Morphling comes in, tons of attack speed, able to break the refraction charges, and simply just kill him with physical damage through BKB. So it's like this item that he forces him into is still countered by the hero they have.
Do you like the Morphling 12% cooldown reduction over the attack speed?
I think so, yeah. I mean, puts your waveform just under 10 seconds. I think it's absolutely worth it. I mean, it applies towards Ethereal Blade. It applies towards your Lincoln Sphere cooldown. There's a lot of value out of this cooldown reduction here.
See why get found by a Weaver, but it doesn't look like Kaka has any interest of going onto the high ground and fighting into the unknown, which is going to be a replicate of a Centaur here, walking around with a bug on it, so should be pretty effective.
You know, I wonder if TA should have gone Diffusal instead of BKB here, just to remove Ghost Shroud right away.
He's going for it now, but here comes the Smoke Gang. Newbee finally to make an aggressive maneuver themselves. They're going to catch the Necroforce, push him back as well. He keeps himself alive a little bit longer, does have the mech as well as the Force Up, gets back to the low ground. He's still being healed back up, and this Necro is tanky. He goes into the Ghost Shroud as well, keeping himself alive a little bit longer. U9 right-clicking around to Shadow, but Shadow can morph into Strength if he needs it. And it looks like Newbee just going to get the 1 kill on the Witch Doctor, but the Centaur goes in, and that's going to be a big problem for him. He gets punished very quickly, immediate buyback, and there's the Max time-lapse. See the Weaver look to help out his buddy.
If they Diffusal there, they would have killed Necro instantly. But as soon as he pops Ghost Shroud, it's impossible. 4.5 seconds with no physical damage. I think SC made a huge mistake not getting Diffusal there, because if they had Deso super early, if he just has Diffusal and is able to chase and slow the Necro on the chase back to the Fountain in the last fight, it's like the same problem repeatedly. If they don't kill him in the first couple stuns, then Necro will stay alive and keep his allies up too.
Yep. Well, with the Centaur buyback, it looks like Newbee not interested in attempting a Roche. Does cost Faith Bian a bit having to use that one, but
I don't think he's too worried though. He's already got Blink and Force Staff. I think he's already covered item-wise.
Absolutely.
Love to have Ghost Scepter, I'm sure, after that last fight.
Sanctuary on up as they clear out some Ancients here, probably just realizing that they're going to lose that Sanctuary or Shrine fairly soon, most likely with the Tier 2 towers being down, and all eyes on Roche as the Replicate will stay in the pit for now until it gets brought down, just making sure that Newbee aren't in there. And
it's a new item for Blink. It's Shiva's Guard. It's got a, purchases it right away. So reduced attack speed now going towards Newbee. An amazing thing to have when you have a hero like Drow just providing plus damage.
Well, they are all physical damage. That's where, as good as Newbee start has been and as big of a lead as they once had, their damage output is going to be heavily negated by Necrophos with the extra armor and just his itemization, having Ghost Shroud but just as a spell. And Morphling, I mean, this is an Agi carry with a huge amount of base armor. He's sitting on 31 armor at the moment. And right-clicking down these cores is not going to be easy.
And he got to the position of the game where he finally has some contribution with items. So Morphling, it's just going to get better from here on out. And at some point, TA does become the worst carry. And Drow's really in the same boat. And now Newbee's getting into desperation mode.
Newbee see them, though. They've got a great ward on the high ground here, but problem is they haven't got the best position. They missed the hook shot. Necrophos is going to get forced. Oh, doesn't actually get to the high ground here. Still in a tough spot. Double force stuff. He gets out of there. Now they're going to try to turn this one around. Shadow waveforms out defensively. The first Reaper comes into play, but there's the time-lapse. KP gets kept alive. And Faith Bian, now the new focus of attention. He's out of position, and they've lost 2. as Wings will have to retreat here. No Force Stuff available just yet for Blink, and the Witch Doctor we brought down as Newbee pressed forward. 3 dead, Roche available, or they may just try to push out this mid lane, but there's a creep wave still back on their side of the river, so looks like they are headed towards that Roche pit.
What a fantastic fight there by Newbee. I mean, the initial hookshot miss was pretty catastrophic, but to dodge the Reaper's Scythe, just counteracting 4,000 gold from Necro essentially, and guaranteeing that finally they're out of heals, they're out of spells, they're out of stuns.
So I mean, Necro Ags, 25-second cooldown, but time lapse, 16 seconds. So I think you're doing okay.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure he's not the one that gets jumped on.
Yeah. Well, the Weaver may almost have to become one of the prime targets.
Shadow, oh, did they see him? Okay, that was close.
Get forced out there. And it looked like all right for Wings initially when they got the Necro double Force Stuffed out to the high ground, but he was in this weird spot where he was on the high ground, but he had to walk all the way back around while his team had initiated, so he couldn't really get into the fight, couldn't use the Ghost Shroud to slow anyone, couldn't really dish out any damage with Death Pulse, so he was in a very awkward position for the fight to unravel.
It wasn't super catastrophic. I mean, obviously the Roche going down is a big thing, but you know that just takes a Necro ulti, right? Can do that a couple more times.
All right.
And I don't see Drow Ranger really scaling very well right now either. She's also picking up a Diffusal Blade, absolutely the item they need. It's one of the best Diffusal games I've seen in a long time. But there's also still the threat of the Morphling. He's 2,000 gold past his E-Blade. All of their heroes have to be genuinely concerned about that burst. Except for maybe the Weaver, I guess.
Even with a gem now leading the way forward. The hook shot will land thanks to the help of the Observer Ward. Just a Witch Doctor, I say that. They're going to use a Stampede to try and save him, and Y gets bailed out by his Centaur buddy. Probably recognizing that the Stampede going on cooldown isn't too big of a problem, considering that the lanes are pushed out quite nicely at the moment by Wings.
And Faith Beyond even hitting some towers finally.
Kaka at top is not exactly in a position to defend this tower on his own, but hoping for some help to come his way. But it is Newbee pressing down mid.
Yeah, they certainly got a little outmaneuvered there, just based on the Centaur ulti.
Weaver's TP back, so I don't imagine Newbee's going to be pushing for high ground right now.
I think he's just trying to slightly limit what Morphling's doing aggressively. Yeah, he's going to cast Bugs. And this will start the push off in a good way. That creep wave's basically dead, and now they can actually get across the map again. Because all the other waves are in great places. They're just having a little bit of trouble dealing with the Morphling replica split push.
Well, once Morphling has Manta style, you can't even rely on the Gust to silence him anymore in these fights.
That's definitely the item he needs as well. He can't go BKB on Morph this game. Just needs typical DPS items. More armor is always going to be better here.
Break that TA refraction a lot faster as well when you go wave in with the Manta illusion, so see how he can transition, because there is not a good lineup to deal with him come late game on the Newbee side.
They're going for Bloodthorn though. Something like that could be useful.
Yep.
And their stuns are kind of okay. I don't think it won't be enough disables to shut down Morphling, but you know, we'll let him use Manta, use another silence afterwards. You could certainly get him killed, because he's playing pretty loose with his strength. He's low, 1,000 HP. He's got to be worried about Blade Mail. But as a whole, I think he's in a great position.
I guess if you're Newbee, like, we've got 4 cores who are all getting good farm going into the late game. The Weavers getting items as well as the Clockwork on the Radiant side. You've got a Mirana in the support role getting farm, but both Mirana and Centaur have less farm than that Weaver. We'll see the push coming. Newbee ready to start looking to break the high ground of Wings.
They smoke the backline too, so that their opponents can't see them.
Yep, so now they can stand right next to SCC as he's pushing for the high ground. Won't dodge the E-Blade, but will blink on backwards. U9 gets time-lapse back to full health. But now the BKB from SCC, just to dodge a Hoof Stomp here, he needs to get some good value out of this one. Looks like he's going to retreat with this one. KP, 4 staffs out of his own cogs. They don't want to take the high ground push, and Ogre gets Reaper down. No time-lapse available, and that one in the arrows landed. Oh, can they get the Weaver? The Hoof Stomp follow up with the waveform in. The Ghost Scepter is not going to be enough. The gem hits the deck, and SCC could be in some trouble. The cask is bouncing around. U9's BKB, but the cask continues to keep on hopping. U9 goes in biz, but there's detection. They've got a gem. They get the kill. TA on the run, slowed down by the Shiver's Guard. Is there an Ethereal Blaze going to full stuff in 2 seconds? He's not going to need it. TA brought down as well. It's a triple kill for Shadow. 5 hit the deck, and it's a team wipe.
The initiation looked so good with the initial Reaper counter, but they didn't really fully commit there. And on the retreat, they kept getting caught. And I'm a bit confused that they didn't go all in on that, because the TA took a lot of damage with her BKB up from the Morphling, but she backed out. She had Aegis. I don't know if he just forgot her, he didn't feel good about the fight, or thought that for sure they'd be able to commit afterwards because his BKB was down, but they punished very, very heavily there.
Yeah, when you've got Aegis and BKB, not using that, getting any value of a BKB in a team fight just seemed to be big problem in that. You can really see the power of that Necro there, staying alive for so long in that fight.
They have Diffusal Blades, and it still looks like they don't have a Diffusal Blade. It's been such a pain in the butt to actually fight him here.
Well, Centaur now gets a Vanguard of that one. A potential Crimson Guard could even further negate some of this physical damage output, and we're seeing heavy late-game limitations for Newbee's draft. This is truly a all-in on the mid-game kind of drow strat, and they do not have the best ways of taking this one much further.
And the game looked so good for them, too.
Hey, it was like a 16,000 gold lead at one point almost. Oh, not quite 15. It was like 12,000-ish.
For that time in the game, that's incredible.
Their kill advantage was absurd as well. They were just winning every single lane and walking all over Wings as they did in game one. It felt like we could be in for a quick 2-0 series, but at this point it's looking like Wings with the edge here in game number 2.
Morphlings finishes Manta a long time ago. 2,000 gold past that, going to go for a Scotty. It's a great choice. Armor, HP covers pretty much everything he needs, and basically just means that TA is going to become useless, because even if she pops BKB, still slowed. So the nice part for Wings is that they're able to stay in their base, and Newbee's kind of forced into going into these high ground fights. They haven't been perfectly on the same page, but also the heroes are scaling worse now.
You can see that Necrophos getting the spell damage amplification from his level 20 Talon.
Yeah. Seems like a small amount, but 5% is huge. And let's be real, they don't have any magic damage anyways.
He's all magic damage from all his spells, so.
It's going to pick up a BKB next. I think this is a pretty good choice just because it'll cover him against silences that normally are forcing him to wait 6 seconds here.
Yep.
But I'd love to see another damage item, even something like a Radiance I think could be pretty fun on him.
Smoke up from Wings. They're heading into the enemy jungle. As a 5-man unit, they're going to preemptively pop the Moonlight Shadow. Dire Sentries are in the neighborhood, so they will see these heroes once they break out of smoke, but Centaur in a great position to get a Blink Hoof Stomp. Doesn't go for it on the TA, though.
They definitely spotted them, though, with the Sentry.
Well, take out that Sentry for now. SCC is still in the front lines. He's got BKB Refraction. He's got a lot of survivability on himself, and it looks like Wings are just going to back off, clear out the sentries. Their position is well known at this point by Newbee.
And if they fought in that area, Wings or Newbee can just buy back and TP to the Shrine as well. It would be such a dangerous place to take a fight if things got a little iffy.
That's a really good point here. Is one limitation for Newbee is they no longer have that gem, though, so taking map control, dewarding, it's not going to be quite as easy at this point.
The itemization so far has been really good on all of Wings' heroes. Even the Witch Doctor Casual Buckler, he just wants to be able to give himself 5 armor and 2 armor aura to everybody else. Really value in that way.
Yeah, why not at this point when you're versing pure physical damage?
And the level 10 perk plus 200 health. Just buying armor and HP, that's the solution to staying alive this game. Looks like he picks up a Force Staff next, another good way to get away from those heroes.
Maybe going straight down the mid lane. This will likely force Wings back to defend, as they do not want to be trading bases at this point, considering their top lane is only at the tier 2 tower. So TP's come, but very late here. Faith Beyond trying to buy some time with a Hoof Stomp as TA just defensively blink on out, but from behind comes Wings. Necrophos blinking.
At least one of them.
Yeah.
No problem, they won't fight me here.
Yeah, that was some ballsy maneuvering around the map, but I think he knows just he's got Stampede and he's unkillable. We've seen it a few times. He got caught by like 4 heroes even before he had the BKB, before he had the Shivers.
Yep.
The 4 staffs.
That was basically it. It was like Force Staff and Phase, and he's good.
Maybe a Stampede is needed, but it's ridiculous how hard to kill this Necrophos has been this game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's a new hero. Teams aren't really fully accustomed to it. Even like Slark, for example, everybody thinks he's really overpowered, but once you truly understand what the weaknesses are and you start doing some aggressive movements with detection, then he becomes much less strong. But if you underestimate or if you overestimate your ability to kill Necro, you get put into these situations where you get blown up. And it's very similar, like Undying, for example.
He's actually
very similar concept.
I had to double check. He's actually died 0 times this game, and I feel like they've tried to gank him and have ganked him with 3+ heroes multiple times. He's always been like the hero they initiate on. Yeah. The fact they've killed him 0 times is exactly that point.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the team fights that have happened this game, and they have looked really bad for Wings. 0 deaths somehow. It's amazing.
That is, really showcasing what this Necrophos can do in competitive play, and maybe suggesting we'll see some more of it. But As it stands, we'll see another aggressive move from Wings. They're looking to make a play, but they're fighting into the Shrine. This is a dangerous place to take a fight. And the Rocket Flare comes out with a central Shadow. Oh, he doesn't make it to the low ground. The hook shot's going to miss. And the Centaur's blinked into a Gus. He needs to be careful, try and get himself out. He needs to stampede off. They've trapped in two. The TA trying to sideblade his way through this one. MY pops a Ghost Scepter. That's not going to keep him alive for too much longer. It looks like they'll throw the Witch Doctor away for the retreat. That was an Ethereal Blade trying to save the Witch Doctor there, but...
That was some weird stuff. I don't really agree with the Replicate in. Maybe trying to get some spells out of his opponents, but...
That was just chaos.
He did get them to cast their spells, but it was not in good ways for them. So some BKB usage, though. That was maybe one of the best things that happened there. TA down to 5 seconds now.
Yes, so TA's ability to fight is going to be hampered by that reduction. We'll have to rely more on the Diffusal and the Bloodthorn for extra control and just taking away some of those escape mechanisms that we've seen Newbee use throughout these fights.
I'll take that.
But with a Skadi Mantle on Shadow, I imagine Shadow's not going to have any problems fighting into the TA.
Yeah, not in the slightest. Assume they'll go for the plus 400 waveform range later. It's amazing for being able to control the fight. He's just going to be so strong. I do like the itemization from Newbee, though. If they can get Roche here, this would be pretty solid.
Taking it incredibly fast here. The Replicate comes in too late. He's going to look to wave through onto KP. Needs to be careful because of that defensive time-lapse opportunity. SCC's blinked into the backlines here. He's got the Aegis. Oh, no, he doesn't. It's actually on U9, so he needs to be a little bit more careful. Necrophos, silence up on the front lines, pops the mech. The Stampede now coming out, and they've taken out the Ogre to start off the fight. Shadow getting a little bit low, pops the Mantis out, looking to turn around and fight once more. As Centaur getting enough a Reaper onto the Clockwork. He's brought down for 100 seconds. Centaur gets brought down by SCC. He's on the front lines trying to fight, but he's got no agent. He's taken out, and it's a godlike streak onto the Necrophos, who still cannot be killed. Buybacks coming in now. As U9 respawns with the Aegis, the two-hero cast. Is it going to be enough? Not with the time-lapse onto the Drow. U9 is chasing. The buyback's enough to scare Wings back. Morphling has no buyback, Purge.
It looked so good there for Wings, but all of a sudden, that last little bit of engagement, SC actually gets some stuff done.
I mean, they traded 4 for 2 and 2 buybacks. That's a huge win for them if they had the Morphling buyback to defend with. Now they've got to find a way to defend their racks with just 3 heroes.
SC's really scared right now. He sees Necro and he gets out.
And the important thing is here, they don't know the status of Morphling's buyback. They're probably actually assuming he has one and they're trying to force it out. See SCC, he blinks in aggressively, immediately takes out the runner who will buy back quickly. Wise getting low, but gets far enough away from the TA who's used the BKB already. Now does not have that protection. U9 just wants to take out this melee Rex. There's still a glyph. The BKB will stop the Starstorm damage as U9 gets himself out of there and the chase begins.
Necro could force into this, but he's going to play it a little safe here.
They don't lose any racks. That is a
good damage
effort
on the melee. Did get the tower, obviously, but I think it's overall pretty good for them. I think the big thing is how is Drow Ranger going to transition with her item? She's got 3,000 gold. This is usually the make or break it time for Drow Ranger, where she focuses on either on actually being a carry or just trying to stay alive. What do you think she buys here?
Ooh. The butterfly option's always a great as far as Hachi goes, but almost feels like Drow may have to kind of transition into the ability to push out some of these lanes better with the Ag Scepter. Do you think it's too late for an Ags, or is that just...
My issue with Ags this game, I think, is that his other items don't facilitate Ags at all, except for maybe Diffusal. I think even something like a Mjolnir could be really good. Just if he sits in the back, he's already got tons of range. If he just sits in the back and throws out lightning, there's a lot of Ghost Scepters on the enemy team. They're not very diversified. They've got some BKBs, obviously, but they're not very diversified against magic damage. I feel like that could be a better solution.
We'll put that on someone like your frontliners, like the Clockwork, who may get just focused down in some of these fights. So again, also making another aggressive move.
That's really good against Morphling as well, too, because lower HP, tons of armor, just do some magic damage.
Yep. There is a Replicate with them, so Morphling can join up, but the Rocket Flare will scout them out. What we haven't talked too much about is the vision game, and that's something which Newbee can do pretty well with the Rocket Flare to scout, and once they get that info, they're smoking up, looking to jump in and take this fight, catch Wings by surprise. Can they bring down Shadow?
I don't even know if they kill that guy.
I don't think, he's the target you want to go on. Who is the target you want to focus first? Is it someone like the Centaur or?
I think so, Center, yeah. It's easily the biggest setup there. The arrow's going to land on Kaka, though.
Oh, they're going to go in. The hook shot on the Morphling, just looking to push him around. The TA, meanwhile, is going on that Centaur. Pops the BKB. Centaur somehow survives initially, but eventually does get brought down by the Sideblade sandwich. The second kill coming out as well. The E-Blade! Shadow destroys the TA. He was almost full HP. And now they're charging forward. Another arrow going to go flying. Barely misses the waveform forward. Shadow's got such great chase with this waveform range. And he gets another kill for his team. And that's another hero with no buyback. Ice chasing into KP. We'll have a blink in a couple of seconds, but he doesn't have teammates chasing with him. And it looks like the attention is more towards that middle lane, at least for the Necro.
Just doing his best to push out the mid lane in the meantime while they have a dead hero. But it was a really good fight, I thought, for the TA especially. He got some great cleaves off at the start. The Centaur went down, but this is the late game Agi hero problem. Once you get into the super late game and your BKB drops, your HP is in a usually around 2000 HP area, you get blown up by Morphling and other nukes. So as long as Wings can just kite the fight for a good like 5, 6, 7 seconds, they should be able to win the fight.
That's some like ridiculously good play from Shadow to find an opportunity to get the E-Blade.
Oh, they're going for it.
Oh, they're going for the throne. They're trying to just end this game right now. KP's looking to delay things with a hook shot and a cogs. They realize that Newbee are trying to trade at top and they're not having any of it. Shadow wants this game to finish. Wings want to force that game through. KP's trying to buy some time, but there's still 40 seconds without a Templar.
Good time lapse.
It's not going to be good enough because the Weaver pays with his life, and KP, it looks like he's still going to die. Weaver immediately buying back, salvages the gem, but think of the base. U9's trying to go for the T4 towers, quickly realizes he can't do this and he's going to have to TP back to defend.
Oh, he's going to die to respawn fast with buyback.
Yeah, he's going for the suicide. He wants to buy back and try to defend the base here. They've got 20 seconds without TA. They've still got 4 alive. KP buying some more time. He gets brought down once more. They're going to lose the Ogre as well. They're just getting melted one by one. U9 goes in with a BKB, but now he's in the middle of 4 heroes and they're just hitting the throne. They're looking to end this game. Wings take out 4 and it's going to be a game 3.
What a game there. 46 minutes of advantage back and forth, and a great way to end it out. KP did his absolute best to buy time. It was amazing what he did with just a Blade Mail and an Axe, but it was not enough. Wings takes the win in game 2.
Well, what a way for Necrophos to make his introduction into competitive Dota 2.
It was beautiful. 0 deaths, perfect play. You get them to focus you, and you press your buttons, and you don't die. That was fun.
Baffling that a Necrophos who gets focused as much as he did, gets caught out alone as well. Like we saw him in the mid lane getting caught by 3 heroes alone, survived as often as he did. Truly something new and innovative coming from Wings. And if you're a newbie, you got to be thinking like we had such a good start. Everything was kind of going according to plan for them.
I really think it was that Diffusal Blade for Templar. He had to be able to just stop the Ghost Shroud. And if he had that, I think they would have been able to do it in those fights.
All right, well, it wasn't enough for Newbee in game number 2. Wings start the comeback. They're going to look to complete it with a game number 3. We're going to take a break and hear what our analysts have to say about that game 2 comeback in just a minute.
Welcome back to ESL One Genting 2017. We have just had an absolutely incredible matchup. Wings Gaming saving their ESL One lives by making it 1-1. We're back at the NVIDIA Experts desk. I've got to start with you, Jack, first of all. What an incredible game from Wings.
Yeah, this is great. They probably had to mix things up and throw Newbee off their comfort zone a little bit. And if there's any team that was going to make that Necrophos pick, it better be Wings.
Yeah, Necro, Cap, you've been talking about it. We talked about it on day one in the pre-show. And
100% win rate.
Well, that's true. Just unkillable.
Yeah, that hero is really tough. I think it definitely showed that Newbee were a bit out of their comfort zone when it came to the whole entire situation. Like, they fought into situations in Necrophos that I think, like, once you dealt with that hero a little bit more, that you realize you really can't go into those situations. I think there was a lot of situations. It was pretty funny, though, the situations where we saw the Reaper Scythe attempted to come out.
But Weaver X.
Weaver X, though.
Weaver X. It didn't work well enough.
But lost, though.
Yeah, the Morphling got way too big. You can't Weaver Ags the shotgun, which is what sealed the fate for TA in that late game. I really like the decision from Wings to go Throne at the end.
Yeah, Throne right.
I was like, that's so Wings, though.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It was a bit of the... We finally got the real Wings in the house, and they went for Throne straight away. So, yeah, fantastic. We're going to see some of the moments from the game itself. I mean, early on, Cap, Newbee looked pretty good, pretty solid. Everything seemed to be working out okay. They seemed to be in control of the game, dictating the pace, and then it just got away from them.
I was so impressed by Newbee in the beginning of the game. Like, Jack and I talked about it with Jack. I think they had a TP, but it was that first rotation that happened where they moved the Drow Ranger and I think it was the Ogre. Yeah, I think they rotated both those heroes down to bottom lane. They like shoved out the safe lane and they rotated bottom to try and kill the Morphling nice and early because they literally only had the silence to really get a kill on Morphling early. And so they had to make that rotation super fast before, you can't just be like, make the Drow Ranger run all the way down the lane, right? Because it's obvious that hero's been gone so long. So they made this super fast rotation and caught the Morphling off guard. That kill kind of sets the tone for the whole entire game where they're able to pressure these towers. And they just, I thought they were playing so well in the beginning that I was like, oh man, Newbee's just going to close this out. But I honestly don't even know.
The Shrine fight, remember?
The Shrine fight.
That was the turnaround point, wasn't it? Just actually, I think it's this fight here.
No.
In the bottom lane? This was the start of the turnaround, wasn't it?
They already showed the Shrine fight where they chased Necrophos for a pretty long time. This was closer to the tail end of the... This was one of the big turnarounds where they tried to push high ground and just got obliterated.
Yeah, I think there's a third fight in a row that they lost already. So you saw the one before as well in the mid lane with the Necrophos. And I think possibly Newbee could have itemized a little bit better against this. Someone mentioned, I think, in the back room that with all the Ghost Scepters coming out plus the Necro's Ghost Shroud, maybe if you're Drow and you have all that space and such a good start, if you go for an Aghanims with, say, a Mjolnir, it's a lot more magical damage. It also accelerates your farm a little bit more so you get to the third or fourth item a bit faster as well.
I don't think they anticipated the game going that late, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, given the start, and then we talked about, like, what are the weaknesses of Necro, right? Clearly, like, a bit of a tempo loss in the mid, and, like, Newbee basically just took over and started to tighten the noose a little bit, and then until that Shrine happened.
Yeah, I like the fact that Wings were willing to fight into Newbee so often. I think in some ways, like, fighting into a push lineup like that can actually speed up the game. You lose the fight and they get all this extra gold, not just the tower, and then they're just able to, like, start steamrolling pretty quickly. But I think in this situation, Wings made the correct call to be able to fight around these some of these tier 1s and tier 2s because it actually slowed down the game quite a bit. I think it felt like the pushes were a little bit slower and the game kind of drew out to where we could see some openings like that Shrine fight that was so bad for Newbee. I think Newbee definitely should have been able to close out this game. I think they realized they made some pretty clear mistakes.
Yep.
But it's easy to do when you have a push lineup like this versus what is very clearly much better late game. Your strategy is always going to be a bit fragile. One real bad team fight can actually cost you the entire game.
Ben, you thought there might have been a change of itemization and that might have made a difference?
Yeah, it's always to talk about the Diffusal Blade. It's one of the best counters versus them. It was also in their last pick, too. They kind of, like, all in on the physical damage, whereas they could have picked some more magic damage that could have possibly dealt with the TA without having to buy a Diffusal Blade.
What was our suggestions for
The
other
Invoker?
I think OD as well, being able to save something out of the
OD
site
was mentioned.
and adding a different source of damage as well.
Yeah, I think those were both pretty respectable options. I think Invoker in particular is the Quaswex Invoker would have been strong, and then the OD obviously versus the Reaper Scythe and the large amount of damage he's able to output that isn't physical would have helped. But I mean, that's what happens. You focus on you focused on the physical damage because it gave you such like a gigantic boost to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Couldn't close out the game though.
All right, thank you all three of you. We are headed towards a break once more, but we are tied up at 1-1 in our second semi-final. Of course, the grand final still to come, a best of 5, and Digital Chaos, of course, already waiting for the winners to come through, and Newbee and Wings will be back in just a moment. Quick shout out for Microsoft as well, one of our supporters here, Microsoft and Xbox 360, Windows 10, the games that you can play wherever you are, whenever you want. We'll be back after the break, of course, with the third and deciding map. Who's going to the grand final? Is it Newbee or Wings? We'll see you soon.